How do I start my own business?
Being my own brand would be totally legit.
I want to be the next Gary Vee.
My dream is to be on Shark Tank.
I'm just gonna Google it.
I mean, I'm awesome at social media. What could go wrong?
Oh my God.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Learning Curves. I am so excited. Today I have my good friend Reed Williams on the show today. Reed has been, how long have we known each other, Reed?
Long time. Probably 20 years.
I think
over
20 years,
right?
Yes, I think it's been over 20 years.
Yes.
Reed and I have a long history of working together. I worked with him at Pulte Homes. We were their agency for several years. And we also got to work on a lot of fun projects with the Tampa Bay Builder Association. Remember those days?
Yeah, we did. On the board.
Yes.
We were on the board during the downturn, that was very challenging.
Oh my gosh, that was very challenging. Yeah, Reed and I were out to save the building industry. It's like, we can save this. We can do it. Remember that?
That was it. Yep, I'll never forget that. That was a tough time in the industry, but it was also some good memories because we were having to come together as an industry instead of competitors to fight what was going on, with all the misinformation.
Oh, we were. I still think of that as... I have all these memories and times in my career that I remember, and that time was just so, it was rewarding because of the fact that we were able to do that. You came to me, I remember that. You said, Kelly, I have this message that we want to get out.
Yes.
I put together this whole presentation. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because it was all part of getting the message of the sky's not falling. And that was tough because everyone was following what the media was saying. And as an industry, we had to get that changed. And so, thinking of the positives of what could happen. But yeah, it was very challenging, but also a lot of good memories, as you said.
Yeah, just getting all the builders together and rounding them all up and saying, stop talking to the media. Stop, because they're using you and they want you to say what you're saying and you're not saying the right thing.
Yes.
So let's all make sure that we're saying the same message. And it was just incredible that we got every single division president behind it, every single sales manager, and then the sales teams.
Yeah.
So
the unity back then, I think, was very rewarding just to see because, as I said, competitors came together.
Yes, they did.
And unified because we had to fight the message out there that, people were still buying homes, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we were having to navigate some waters that we hadn't seen before, but, we as an industry, we can come through it. And I think that was the best message that came out of that. And
yes.
I met and still to this day have a lot of friends that came from during that downturn.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we were all there together, trying to solve the problem together, and it was probably one of my best memories of being part of the Builder Association, and also just felt good because we were able to give back during a time period that everyone was in nobody knew what to do.
Yeah, it was uncharted waters.
Yes.
I mean, no one had ever seen such a quick fall as we saw in that industry. But a lot was learned from that. Just as everything goes through, you learn from it, right? And mistakes are made, and some of it was builders, some of it was the industry, some of it was the environment, but you learn from all of it.
Absolutely, and it's just nice seeing our industry in such a different place right now than it was yesterday.
Wow, isn't that true? And that just goes to show you what a difference.
Yep,
now we're in a market we haven't seen, but on the flip side of versus that one. Instead of a downside, just the upside.
Right. Everybody's doing really well right now in this market. And what are you seeing right now in your company?
Well, the demand is unbelievable. The supply is very limited. The scarcity of supplies, and it's lumber, it's windows, anything manufacturing wise, a lot of petroleum based items, PVC pipes that go into our homes, just very limited supplies, but you have some of the highest demands. with some of the lowest interest rates. So it's kind of created this perfect storm of you just cannot meet the demand. And everybody's doing well. It's not just one or two. And every industry is doing well. So the limited scarcity I've never seen before. And, homes that were taking us, 90 days, now are taking 180 days to build. So that's what's changed. And then trying to, navigate through that of, when do you put them on the market, at what stage, and because you have a risk there of putting them on too early where you can still take some price increases. So, just trying to navigate every market brings its own challenges, and
does.
This is no different. And yeah, it's a first world problem to have, right? That you have so many buyers wanting to buy, but at the same time, it has its own challenges that we had, in the industry, waiting list, lotteries, companies doing offers, very different to the consumer. I mean, let's be honest, no consumer wants to pay more than what the list price is, Well,
right.
In this case, in today's market, it's happening all the time. So it's just been different of trying to get that message out and figure out what is the next hurdle that we got to overcome to get to a successful closing, with it. And, my wife's in the realtor in the general real estate, and, their business has been a lot slower because people aren't putting their homes on the market because they sell it where they're going to go, right? Because the prices are, and, people aren't relocating with companies a lot. So her business was down, although everyone thinks, everyone in real estate's doing well. The builders are, but a lot of times the realtors are, having a little tougher time. And then on that, it kind of trickles down to the mortgage side. So it's not all been great for everyone in the industry.
Yeah, and I think general real estate, they suffer with not having enough homes to sell, and
yeah, you've got
people
supplies.
not wanting to sell their homes.
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at the stats. I mean, you're at 0.1 months of supply. I mean, historically, you would say an equilibrium market is 6 months between buyers and sellers.
Wow.
And you're at a 0.1, which literally, that means that if you didn't put any more homes on the market, everything is sold in a week. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And that's been pretty consistent, across the market over the last 6 months. And that's why I think the new home side has done so well, because the builders have continued to build some inventory. And so that's been our biggest competitor throughout the whole time of home building is resales.
Right. And it's pretty non-existent right now.
Yeah. And so with having that, then that's really where that's been another component of where the new home building industry has really taken off.
Yeah. It's good to see for sure something very different, and kind of wondering what we're going to go through next.
That's one of the things I've learned is just when you think you've learned everything, something happens that teaches you something else.
Yeah.
And you've got to learn.
Another challenge comes along.
That's exactly right.
Well, let's kind of go back in time a little bit, Reed. You have such a great resume. You've worked for some wonderful builders, everything from Lennar Homes, MI Homes, Pulte Homes, which I know you from. Yep. And now you're with Starlight Homes. Can you tell me how you got started in the real estate industry?
Yeah, way back, I actually started in the commercial side.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a friend of my mother's actually was very big in the hotel, motel, and mall business, and I saw how successful she was. And I was always looking for, I was trying college. I would just say college wasn't for me. Let me just put it that way.
It's not for everyone.
And but I knew that I wanted something that no one would tell me how much I could make each year, and so I didn't know if that meant I'd be a sole proprietor,
right? A lot
like
of times
yourself.
a lot of times that happens.
Or
Yeah.
when I saw how successful she was, so she took me under her wing and mentored me, and I went into the commercial side, and actually my first year was able to get a hotel, Ramada Inn, at Bush and 275 under contract, and
I know that hotel.
yeah, and worked on that for a year, and didn't end up closing. And so at that point I was like, well, maybe residential real estate would be better. So I went to Merrill Lynch Realty for a very short time and was hustling. And the one thing about me, I was never afraid to learn, and I wasn't shy. So I was knocking on for sale by owner doors, and I laugh thinking back now as the 1 month I actually signed up more for sale by owners than any other agent in the office. Now, I will be honest, I didn't sell any of those homes because my inexperience of not pricing them right, none of them sold. But the hardest part was getting them listed. I mean, all the experienced agents would like, how did you do that? I'm like, well, I just knocked on the door. And so it was, but that taught me a lot.
Yeah, they would never do anything like that.
Yeah, it just taught me, that was the beginning of be comfortable being uncomfortable. And because I know I was learning, even though I was young. But then through that, guy that I worked with at Merrill Lynch, he was telling me about, hey, I've found this company and they'll pay you to sit in their models. And I really was ignorant of the home building industry. I was 23, 24 at that time. And all of a sudden I met a gentleman from Lennar Homes, Doug Partington. And Doug's still in the business now. And he gave me an opportunity, and I started selling. My first community was in Temple Terrace called Orange River, and I really didn't know what I was doing. There wasn't any formal training that they gave me.
They just put you in and said, here you go.
Literally just, here's the keys. We have 11 homes in this community, and Lennar was
11 homes in the community?
We had 11 homes left, and it was a community that was, for those that may remember, there was masonite siding, which was like cardboard, and if it got wet, it swelled just like.
Oh no!
Yeah, so nobody wanted to buy these homes.
Right.
I did sell them over 3 months. They were amazed that I sold them, and so that was kind of the start of my new home career with Lennar, and got into it. I loved it. It was exciting. You were dealing with different individuals. No one was telling you how much you were going to make any given year. If you wanted to make more money, you sold more houses. And so, and we're way back. I'm kind of, walking in the snow here type of thing and tough. But, back then, Tampa wasn't the real estate market it is today. I was out in Valrico selling homes in 59.9 back then in 1989. And there was nobody going to Valrico in 1989. No. So now you look at
a bunch
Valrico.
Of farms in Valrico, right?
you look at it now, but I had a lot of fun.
At CEA Marketing, we take your business, your passion, and your why, and we sell it. If you're unsure where to start marketing your company, CEA Marketing is here to help. Our team at CEA has tons of experience and top-notch training, which helps you take all the stress and confusion out of marketing your own business. After years of working with large companies like Pulte Homes, the Outback Bowl, and Metro Places, we guarantee the successful implementation of a marketing strategy.
So then you were with Lennar, and then from there, how long did you sell? Like what path did you go through, and what kind of obstacles did you have to overcome as a salesperson?
Well, one was kind of learning on the job was really tough. We didn't have any training, formalized training like you have in today's world. And so
what did you do?
You just made a lot of mistakes. I mean, you literally just made a lot of mistakes.
What kind of mistakes did you make back then?
Well, you didn't ask for the close. You didn't ask for the sale. I was shy a lot of times, and you would think, okay, well, I've bothered them enough, and so you wouldn't take that next step, right?
Right.
And so those were all mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't ask somebody to buy, they typically don't buy.
No.
And
they're going to be like, okay, thank you, see you later.
That was exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And didn't know how to properly follow up. Mm-hmm. So it was just, once again, just ignorant to what I was doing, right? And so you kind of were learning. And so that really takes a long time.
Especially when you don't have a mentor or somebody to teach you.
You don't have that mentor. And I would tell you, it wasn't until I was in my 5th year of real estate, and I was actually at MI Homes, and I found Bill Herring.
I remember you talking about Bill several times.
Yeah, and Bill Herring changed my life.
Great sales trainer.
Yeah, and that was the first time I was exposed to formalized training. And once I met Bill, I mean, literally, I doubled my production from year over year. It was amazing what he did for me. And, funny story was, the thing I loved about Bill Herring was Bill was a sales trainer that would go in front of the class or in front of the conference room and teach you, but then he would also go out to the community with you. And he would take prospects as they came in. Okay, I've never seen any sales trainer to this day to do this.
And
right?
show you how to do it.
And show you.
Wow.
And
yeah, you don't see sales trainers doing that too
he
much.
He would practice exactly what he preached, and that was one of my lessons that I've taken from him my whole career, and made sure that all the sales professionals that I've worked with, that I'll go out there and I'll take a prospect with them. And Bill did that, and I'll never forget. We had right after a meeting, he came out, and I was really hoping that we didn't have anybody come into the model while he was there. That was just me being, like, okay, I'm too nervous in front of him.
I did that too with my mentors when they come and they're like, it's your turn now. You're like, oh no, I'm going to do this in front of them. But you got to practice so you get that feedback.
It's exactly what you have to do. You have to practice your craft, and he would force that. And as soon as we got to our community, 2 different couples came in. And he's like, okay, you take them and I'll take this person. And to this day, I had Patty Siegel and he had Patty Siegel, and I had Delane Dinsmore. I never forget, because it was that lesson in my life. And both of those individuals bought from me. And with Patty Siegel, she was a sales rep with Exxon. And he said, she's going to buy a home from you. And I had the typical negative attitude of, where'd she go? Oh, she's looking at that builder. They have all kinds of incentives. I won't sell them.
Right.
And he's like, see, that's your stinking thinking.
You're talking yourself out of it.
Exactly.
You're being fearful.
And that was exactly what I needed someone to push out of me, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, he went into the laundry room where the sales office was, and he sat and he says, I'm going to listen to everything you say. So he was sitting in the laundry room while I'm and he told me exactly how it would go. He said, she's going to come in. She's going to say she likes the home, but they're $15,000 less. I want you to look at her and say, well, other than price, what can I do to put you in the home? I mean, it laid out just like that. I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, okay, he made this whole role play scenario up, but if I hadn't gotten paid a commission on it, I would have believed that my whole life. But he sat in there. I'm literally, Kelly, my armpits are sweating. I can feel it.
I remember being like that too.
And I'm just like,
so
oh my
nervous.
gosh, I'm never going to get through this.
They're
And
chattering.
yeah, you were just like, I'm in a total place of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But once again, it's what I needed. And he knew that and got through it. They went just like he said, and they bought a home. And so, the MI Homes experience was really what kind of changed my whole direction, because now I had some formalized training, and I realized that this is what I want to do. And as I grew through the MI and then went to Pulte, one of the things that I realized, because what I really always wanted to be was a football coach. That's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a coach, but I didn't want to go the teacher route to do that. So what I was able to find in the home building industry is that
You could be the coach you
I
always
could be
wanted
a
to
coach of sales professionals. And so that's kind of what started to drive me when I started to go through MI and then Pulte. And, I would start to train the new folks that came in, and, I got pretty good at, because I could do it, but then I could also teach it. And so that was where I really kind of dug in and said, okay, this is going to be a career for me, right? And I can take this and I can be that coach, right? It's just sales, it's not football, but coaching is coaching, right?
It is.
And so I kind of took that, and that's where it kind of started to blossom with Pulte Homes, where I took that transition from, sales professional up to sales leadership.
So you just kind of took on that role of being the mentor of the newer people that came in and showed them how to do it.
Yeah, it was.
The leader of the group.
It's exactly what it was. It was, when they had a new hire, hey, we're going to send them to Reed. And, when there's a new community we want to open, we want Reed to open it. And at the time, being young and not knowing, I was like, well, why am I always opening the communities, right? Because typically you would make the majority of the money once the community was opening and it's on its run, right? But looking back, it really helped me because they were grooming me for
Yeah, for
the future, right?
for future leadership.
Yeah, and understanding how to grow the community, how to open a community, how to train the individuals. So it was great for me. You don't see that sometimes, right? When you're in the midst of it, you just kind of always pick on that, like, well, why are you doing this to me? Why are you typecasting me as the opener of a community?
Why do I have to get this job?
Yeah, but they knew that was exactly it. But they, you know, in hindsight, you knew that they knew you were going to do everything you needed to do to open that community the right way. And that was really the start of that, you know, was for that. And, you know, I had a mentor there, Doug Tripp. One thing that I will say is, to be successful in anything, you have to have somebody that takes the time to mentor you. And I've been fortunate to have 2 or 3 individuals like that who've taken their time to mentor me. And
did you seek them out, or were they? I mean, they were obviously. I know Doug worked for Pulte, or did he kind of take you under his wing, or or did you choose him?
No, it was. I think they saw something in me which I appreciated, and said, "Let me show you what you need to do." Right. Okay. But I think I had I had the hard work ethic. I wasn't afraid to work. And I think they saw something in me that I didn't see.
Right.
And so kind of, you know, I always remember Doug Tripp, you know, he said, you got a great future in the business, but sometimes you just can't be as volatile as you are, you know, and that's what started to make me understand, you know, nowadays we hear it's called emotional intelligence, right? Back then it was just controlling your emotions, right?
Yeah.
You can't just, but those kind of mentorship sometimes you don't get from everybody. And I think
I think that would be my next question. If for a salesperson that might not have, maybe they're working for a smaller builder, or, you know, or whatever, for whatever reason, they don't have the resources or the people like a Pulte would have, or an MI, what would your advice be to that salesperson of how would they seek out mentorship?
Well, I would say get with a professional organization, Tampa Bay Builders Association, or some type of professional trade organization that you can start to network with individuals that are in your business. There's always individuals. I know with myself, there's nothing more gratifying to me today than to mentor somebody. Right. You know? So if you're good at what you do, you want to be able to convey that. And you also want to know that you had a good impact of passing that forward.
Yeah, so just find someone that's great in the industry and ask for help.
I tell,
stroke their ego too. They're gonna love that.
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I mean, everyone. You know, I try to tell my kids, and I try to tell I said, ask them to lunch. Ask somebody who's successful. You know, ask Kelly if you want to learn about being an entrepreneur. Ask Kelly to lunch. Right? One, they get a pat on the back that they're doing it great, but you can learn from them. Right?
Absolutely.
They've made some great decisions.
And they made a lot of mistakes.
They made a lot of mistakes, right? So,
yeah.
But talk to people who are successful. And that's one of the things that Bill Herring, Doug Tripp, Doug Partington taught me is talk to people who are successful, right? And what did they do? What were the work habits are different, but what are the things that they learned along the lines that helped them? And I think if you seek that person out, it's going to help you. You're going to get that back 2-3 times, you know, the time that you invest in that. Because once you find that person that's willing to help you, it's unbelievable. You know, they're willing to do that, right? They want to give back. And that's what's helped me in my career for sure.
Yeah. Well, I know it helped me with starting an agency. It was actually, I don't know if you knew this story or not, because I probably didn't tell you. You were my client at the time. When I started, CE Marketing started as this is a quick story, as an event company for home builders, in car dealers. We were doing events, and sooner or later, a client started asking us, well, hey, can you do this and can you do that? And can you make a brochure for me, or let's add radio to this, a newspaper for that? So I was always having to figure out how to do things. And I was getting more and more builder clients that were asking me these things. And at the time, Pulte became a client of mine. I think I did a couple events for you and Scott Neal.
Scott Neal. Yeah, I was going to say, I think
Was the sales and marketing director at the time.
Yep.
And I remember him saying to me, he was like, "Hey, Kelly," he's like, "Can you, we just won JD Power Awards. Can you help me put together, I think he might have thought I was an ad agency, but I was like, I need to buy I need about 12 billboards. Can you buy 12 billboards?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm right on that, Scott." So I went and I actually seeked out a mentor because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting asked to, like average agency type stuff. I had no plans on being an ad agency. Like it was not in my head, a couple years prior to that. But all these things started happening. So I seeked out a mentor, a guy that ran one of the biggest agencies in Tampa. And I said, "Hey, I know you just retired." I go, I have all these people that are asking me these, and I keep telling everybody yes, but I really don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And he was like, "Yes, I can help you." And I told him, like, for the Pulte deal, he gave me one of the top media buyers in Tampa Bay. She did that whole buy for you. I think you became marketing director when we still had those billboards up.
Yes,
that
I
we were
remember those.
running.
That was the location, reputation.
Yes, location,
Still
reputation.
To this day, I think it's the best billboards I've ever seen.
We had, and it's probably one of the biggest billboard buys that Tampa's ever seen, because it was like we ran those for years. And she, I went out with her, learned how to ride billboards, learned how to buy them, learned how to do everything. She's kind of set the whole thing up, gave me the spreadsheet, told me how to go in and pitch Scott, went in there and pitched him. Then from there, we decided to keep him going and change out the skins. But when he asked me that, I was like, I can do that.
Well,
I'm like, I'm not going to let that thing go away.
part of it comes having a great attitude and
Yeah.
that I'm going to make it happen.
But I mean, honestly, what did that spin into there? We were Pulte Homes agency for 10 years and we did everything for you all.
Yeah.
And it was
I remember you were going to different markets with him too. Fort Myers, right? And Ocala.
we had the whole state,
Yeah.
including the Del Webb brand, right when it got, I think everything shut down and everything got put, sent out to nationals after that. But yeah, it was just one of those things with finding a mentor. Like if you don't know how to do something, find somebody and there's somebody that's going to be willing to help you. And that guy helped me. He helped me learn how to be an ad agency. He helped me learn how to pitch and create campaigns and do all these different things. And I had the top guy. He ran the top agency in Tampa for like years.
Wow.
And he was my guy. So.
And he was probably happy to do it.
Oh, he loved it.
I mean,
he'd come in and pitch.
I was going to say, he probably loved that you were asking him. And
yeah, I didn't even have an agency at the, and some of when we had to come in and pitch, we just had a whole freelance group that came in and we're CEA. At the time they were CEA, and pretty soon I ended up having employees after that. But it was interesting how not a lot of people know that story.
No, I remember the events part because I remember,
Yeah.
I think there was a builder show at the, did we have it at the stadium, Raymond James? And I think there was a show, and I think that's where Scott initially met you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. It was a Meet the Builder kind of show thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and he came in there, and I kept bugging him, and then sooner or later, he's like, okay. Like gave me some business and a couple of events, and direct mail. I was selling a lot of direct mail at the time, but yeah, he just started asking for all this other stuff because he liked working with me, and it just, that kind of turned, and Centex was also doing, we had Centex Homes was a client that we were just doing, and they started doing the same thing. And then pretty soon I had not just Pulte, but a couple other nationals that were, and we were like the national agency in Tampa at the time, doing all their stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know, and that's just my mentor story, but it's very true.
It is, and I think anybody that is successful, that if you talk to them, there's somebody in their life that mentored them.
Yes.
There's somebody there that they can look at and say, this was a turning point. I mean, there's certain points I know in my life that you can look back and say, that was a moment of truth, right? Because it stays vivid in you, and and so I constantly think through that. Like that moment of being uncomfortable with Bill in the laundry room, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Because that was me having to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
And that has never left me. And it's so true in today's world that everything's changing. So you got to, as I said earlier, that every market brings a challenge. So right now you're having to figure out different things that come up, right? It's not the same thing all the time.
No, it's not the same thing all the time. I'm in a company for 25 years, and I'm going through new challenges that I've never gone through before.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like I didn't ever think this would happen, and here it is happening. But it causes, you think it's really bad and terrible and awful at the time when you're going through it, but you need to tell yourself that something around the corner is waiting. Just hold on, slow, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Get yourself through it, and your big trophy will be waiting on the other side of the rainbow.
It's so true what you say, Kelly, because when I got laid off from Pulte, that was a low point. I'd never been terminated or fired, in anything I'd ever done in my life. So, when you hit that and you think, you thought you paid your dues, quote unquote, right? So things aren't going to go down, right?
Right.
That taught me that's not what life's about, right? There's challenges, and there's a book out by Ryan Holiday, and it's called "Obstacles the Way," and it's all about the Stoicism by Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. And when you have a challenge, you got to go through it. You can't go around it.
I remember that when you got laid off. I mean, that was pretty, because you were, a big part of Pulte at the time. And I remember how it's devastating when that happens. And
it's in every way. I mean,
it hurts.
your livelihood, to be rejected in any way. I mean, let's be honest. Your ego takes a complete hit.
Yep.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. You're, on the top of the world, and then all of a sudden they've decided that you're not part of it. But let me be honest. Pulte Homes, fantastic company.
Yeah.
Everyone was going through it, right?
Yeah,
but
they all were going through it.
But when you're living it.
But it's still happening to you.
Yeah,
it's still like it's your stuff, your thing, your feelings.
And I'm trying to raise a family, and when all that happens, you're like, okay, wow, what are we going to do now? Mm-hmm. And
I remember what you did.
You take a pay cut, and you're like, okay, well, we got to so I had to open up my own business. I mean,
you did.
And one of the things that I started working with my wife day in and day out, and I love her to death, but working day in and day out with her all of a sudden was very different for our relationship.
It takes a toll on a marriage.
For
sure.
It really did. And
I can attest to that.
It was, I remember starting it and we've never argued in our life. And all of a sudden now we're having arguments, and financial stress was there too, right? Because, I mean, we're opening a business. I mean, I'm not going to make what I was making before as a sales VP. So, but, when I look back, I made it. We made it.
You made it. Honestly, that company, I remember, because we were working together too. You brought me in as your agency.
Yeah.
As you always do.
Yeah.
And it was just, I remember watching you when it was just, you told me the vision that you had, and then it was maybe a couple months later, because you had such a great following. You had all these salespeople that loved you. Yeah. Loved working for you. And you had like 12 to 15 people, like, boom, just like that, a whole team that was right there with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, once again, looking back at it, it was pretty amazing. We were profitable our first year, okay, which is unheard of, as you know, being an entrepreneur. And I took what I knew from the building industry and turned it into the general real estate of, getting leads to call in, setting appointments, having them come in. And we did what we knew from the home building side. And we're fortunate that we had a lot of connections, as you did, with the building community. And that's where what we were talking about earlier with the building association and the networking, that's where that paid off. Because all of that came from that unity that we started. I mean, builders were calling me to be one of the preferred builders in our store. Our retail store for home buying.
I'm sure they're like, Reed's doing that, I'm going to put my building company with him, because I know he's going to sell.
Yeah, and that was, that was kind of the start of, okay, everything's going to be all right. Yeah, we're going to struggle here a little bit. And we did, but it was very profitable for us, and it kept us afloat. And, I knew at some point I wanted to get back to the home building side, Kelly, because one of the things that I loved was the camaraderie of a team, building a team, and that thinking back that I told you of opening communities.
Yes.
That all played out in opening up companies with new builders, with Buyers Home Store. And, as new builders started to come into Tampa, getting them, opening their operations.
Yeah, there were a lot of new builders that came out of the downturn all of a sudden.
Yeah, when everything started to come back, Meritage Homes, Mattamy Homes, a lot of national builders, all of a sudden they recognized Tampa is going to be one of the great markets, and obviously it is. Here
made a good choice.
Yeah, so but that was a great. It was a great challenge, but also a lot of great learning lessons. I learned a lot about myself. Ron and I learned a lot about each other, and we laugh now, and we'd have.
You made it through it.
Yeah,
You're still together.
Exactly, and the sales meetings we'd have, and she would call me out in front of the sales meetings, like and I tell her after, you can't really call me out in front of the sales team. You have to talk to me after.
Yeah.
But once again, that was Rhonda being a wife, right?
Yes.
And wanting the right things done, and so, but we made it through it, and we look back and we're happy that we fought like that, right? And and that's what that taught me is you just got to keep fighting. It may look like nothing, it looks like it's hopeless, but it really isn't. You just got to keep pushing, and you just know that you've got to go through that obstacle, and you figure it out somehow, some way. And the other thing that I've learned is, so many of these successful Elon Musk, pick whoever you want, right? You think everything they've done is successful? No. They failed a lot.
Well, you have to fail to be successful. Failure is part of the journey.
That's exactly what it is. It's the journey, and those mistakes you make, that's your learning.
Yes, it is.
That you're going through. So that's definitely what I learned from all of that is that's what life's really about, is you've got to, and how you fight. The old proverb, it's not how many times you fall down, how many times you get up.
Yep.
Right?
That's what I was going to say. If you get back up and keep going, sometimes people have a hard time doing that.
And I can certainly understand, and I have more.
It's hard to get out of bed some days when you're feeling like that.
I have more empathy now than I ever did for people, because I always, when someone is not themselves or just in a bad, first thing I ask is, what are they going through? Because you never know what that individual's going through, right?
Yeah, true. You don't.
Because people don't come out and just say what's wrong, right? They just try to work through it.
Yeah.
So I think I learned a lot from that too. You get a lot of empathy.
Right. And in our younger years, we didn't give a lot of empathy.
No. You don't. You really don't.
I was like very, especially with my team and everything. I appear to be a nice person, but sometimes I wasn't always the nicest person. But now I can say I've learned a lot from dealing with people and individuals that you can't be that way. You have to really soften it up and have some feelings towards other people.
Oh, it is so true. And, stuff that now sales professionals that I work with, they'll say, you've gotten soft. I don't think I've gotten soft as I've gotten more aware.
Yeah.
Of it's not always about what I want.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's read. And that's why they make, strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla, right? It's different. So so learn how to, and the other thing that happened me through that journey is having children makes you realize some of that too. You realize yelling doesn't get you anywhere. You realize having an open mind. That doesn't mean you can't be a boss at sometimes, right? Yeah. You got to make the decisions. But when you learn that and seek to understand, right, with individuals, that's been my challenges. As I've gotten older, how do I relate to the workplace today?
Yeah, it's very different, isn't it?
It is, but I like it because I don't take it as it's my way or the highway, because I realize that approach...
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's going to get you fired, and you're going to be out pretty quick, because I don't know too many teams, corporations that fire the team. they usually fire the coach.
Yeah, they do.
And so, you've got to
They
be
do.
aware
Or
of that.
if you own a company, you're going to find that you're going to clean house real quickly, and that your employees aren't going to want to work for you if you have that attitude.
No. And so you've had to learn through that, right, through the industry.
Well, you have to learn because we've gone through a lot of changes, you and I, since we've started, and with people and how they are in managing. And I know I suffered with that too, with the going through the downturn, then coming back, because it was kind of like, it was a quiet time. I had a smaller staff, but then all this things came back, and I had to hire more people. But the new group of people that I had working for me were not the same as the old regime.
You're
They
right.
were very different. And I tried to manage them the same, and it didn't work out so well
Doesn't
for
work.
me. Nope, one left, the next one left, the next one left. I'm like, what's going then I had to it's not them, it's me. I'm the problem. I have to change.
Yep.
This isn't going away. This thought process and how these people are, there's millions of them out there. So I'm going to need to learn how to work with them.
How do I interact with that?
Yeah.
How do I interact with them when there's 30 years difference between us, right?
Yes.
How do I do that?
Right.
That's the challenge of, the days of, you can talk all you want, as I talk about walking through the snow uphill, right, in the cold. But it comes down, we work stretches, right? And what I mean, if my partner was off, you work the whole way through. You don't do that today, right? You have to figure out how you're going to staff because they want their time off.
Oh my! Now a whole nother issue's coming up,
Yeah.
right?
They
They want to
want-
work from home. They want to work on their time. Yeah, it's difficult.
And you're trying to take that and put it into a sales retail organization, but it's working. It's working. We're finding.
Yeah, how is it? So that's a great point that you brought up, because I know what's going and how I've had challenges with this as well. But on the sales side, how does that work?
Well, for us, what it does is we have to find the right individuals, right? We're looking for those core values, and then we can train a lot of the sales part of it. What is really great for us in the industry today is our business, just like every business, is becoming more technology based, right?
Yes.
The home building industry, as you know, they're very slow to change.
Oh, they are.
Okay.
They're dinosaurs. The
Yes.
dinosaurs of the home business.
And so, but as they do, you've got to find the right personnel that are going to work with that. And so what we're finding is you find those individuals have that core value, and you can train them on the sales, but they're not intimidated by the technology that's coming at them, right? Whatever that technology may be, right? Their CRM that they're using, the video messaging, all of that is so new, but not to them.
No,
They're used to it.
they love it.
And so that's where I look at it, where they help us.
Yeah.
Right. They can help us of the older generation that, because I want to stay fresh in it. So
Yeah.
you have to find, it still comes down to finding the right people. Don't get me wrong. But then you have to work in, how does that work with them and what they're looking for in their career. Right. And some of it's still the same, right? Some of them still want that opportunity to make that money, but it's not all about the money.
They're not
so-
as money motivated.
No, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
Yeah.
but it can hurt you when the business that you're in is about that, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that you used to dangle as the carrot
Right.
is not as important to them.
No, it's not as important. They'd
Right.
rather have time off and let me work from home.
Yeah, and so we've kind of accomplished.
Yeah.
We found through the pandemic that working from home, our sales didn't suffer. We had people at home. We had people in the model centers, but we're all of a sudden selling homes without somebody looking at it, okay? We never thought that could happen, right? It's almost scary because it's like, well, if the building industry figures that out, maybe they don't need salespeople, right? So, but that's part of what came out of it. And then you also realize that it's all right to give them a day off. If that's really what's important to them,
Yeah.
the best things I've done for them lately is I give them a day off that's a true day off. So why do I have to be so stubborn of, no, we're not going to give you a day off. You have to take your PTO. Why can't I? So I've learned, now it doesn't mean we shut down the operation,
Right.
but I can still get them what they want and they like it.
They'll work harder if you're listening to what their needs are.
And the other thing is they have a very huge desire to move up quickly. Now I'm sure that's been from mom and dad telling them that, you can do whatever you want. And once you get out of that college.
They start here and all of a sudden I can be here in a year. It's like,
Yeah.
well,
And so
you got to kind of like.
Yeah. So you kind of, neutralize that a little bit, but you still like that push from them. And so in our industry, we have so much growth opportunity that I think we have a good story to tell. That if you are there and you are results oriented, okay, sky's the limit.
Oh, yeah, sky is the limit, especially right now with the shortage of employees.
Yeah.
So,
and our best growth is organically. I mean, I'm not doing my job if I don't promote from within. If I can't bring individuals on, train them, recruit them, develop them, and have them be promoted from within, then I haven't done my job as a sales leader. I mean, my job is to bring them in and have somebody who will eventually have my job. And, I'm proud to say in the industry, I have several people that I've done that for, and they are now running sales departments. And there's not a better, and I certainly don't sit here and say it's all because of me, okay?
Right. But you did have something to do with it.
Very small part of it, but still, it's very rewarding to see that, one, you recruited individuals that it became a career for. That's huge. It wasn't just a job, right? It became a career. They put food on the table.
Yeah.
And they progressed, right? And so that's
I love
very
seeing
rewarding.
Yeah, I love seeing my employees when they came in and started either a lot of them come in young at CEA, and after working here for a couple of years, they're marketing directors of big companies, like they're doing awesome things, and most of the CEA alumni, they're all kicking ass right now, and it makes me feel good to see that they were able to come to a company and learn so many great things, and now look at them.
There's not a better feeling. I mean, there really isn't, and that's not a paycheck we're depositing, right? And that's what I say. That's the stuff that is just so rewarding in the industry, is to see that. I mean, I look back and individuals that I worked with and their success, just you're just beaming with pride, and it's not something that you talk to them all the time, but you keep your eye on them.
You do. I watch all mine on
you
social
keep your
media
eye on
and
them
see what they're up to.
Yeah, it's just it's a great feeling.
My babies.
Yes. What's so interesting is, just a side note, was one of the individuals that I have. In fact, Devin just won the Rookie of the Year for the Tampa Bay Builders. I hired his aunt Ann from the university, right out of the University of Florida in 2004. And I don't know, Devin might have been 6 years old then, and now Devin's on my sales staff. And, to say it's rewarding because, one, Ann has the confidence to refer him to me.
Yes.
And he came right out of the University of Florida, and we hired him, and he's a shining star for us. I mean, there's no doubt Devin will be a future leader, with our company. So
that's exciting.
That's huge to see, because, one, she has the confidence in me that, if you want to be trained, by the best, you want Reed to, so there's not a better compliment in the world than her own relative, right?
Right.
So it was really, and that's just like we're talking about, that's the stuff that's rewarding at this point.
It is. It is. I love seeing that. That is a big thing on my list.
Yes.
Okay. So one last thing before we wrap up, I have one last question. You're working for Starlight Homes right now.
Yes.
And Starlight Homes has a very unique process that's very different. I know you all sell to first-time home buyers, but your process seems very different from the average builder. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to come to work with Starlight is, one, they were going for the first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. A lot of the builders had not entertained that market here in Tampa. You're seeing more now, but we educate. That's our whole thing, is we want to educate the buyer on what it takes. So many people have a misconception of what it takes to buy a home. If you talk to the average person, they'll tell you they think they need 20% down.
Right.
Okay. We have a lot of programs where you get zero down, right? So, but we bring them in, we have a 2-hour appointment with them, and we walk them through the whole process of buying a home. And it's not if, it's when they're going to buy a home, is what we tell them. And, we take the chance that we educate them and they buy from someone else. We'll take that chance.
And you do that first.
We do that first.
Right.
We educate them. We show them what their buying power is. We show them what credit score they need. before we ever show them any homes, we're going to go through all of that with them and show them what it takes to own a home. And there's so many rewarding stories. We just had a lady who is 74 years old, never owned her own home, okay, worked many jobs. It took her 3 years to get her finances in line, but she finally bought a Starlight home. There's not a better feeling in the world than to change somebody's life like that at 74.
That's a great story. I
Yeah,
love that.
and that's the whole part of what Starlight, and that's what really drove me to want to work for this company, is because those kinds of stories, right? I mean, people die coming to this country to own their own home. There's not a better product to sell, in my opinion. And then to be a part of that with that first-time buyer who just doesn't know
American dream.
Yeah, it's the American dream. So it's great, and Starlight's done very well here in Tampa, and we have a great future.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Yep. You got a lot going on, and congratulations, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Love someone that can step out and do something different outside the mold. Very interesting.
Well, and we get a lot of comments that, you guys took all the time with me. I haven't had anybody take that time to sit down for 2 hours and show me what I need to do. Because a lot of times we'll have individuals that they're not quite there.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Right.
And we can counsel them what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the experts that can tell you. And sometimes they're not very far away, but they think they are, right? Mm-hmm. Because I call it water cooler talk, right? Everybody talks at the office, oh, you got to do this, and there's so much misinformation.
Intimidating.
Yeah, it's very intimidating. And so many people just getting that education and knowing what they have to do, then they do it.
Yeah.
And so that's very rewarding for us.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And thank you for taking care of the first-time home buyer, because it seems like that's one of the demographics that seem to get the most ignored, and you guys are really focusing on that. So great job.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I think we're doing some really great things in regards to it.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, Reed, I think we covered a lot of topics.
We did. It was good catching up.
It was great catching up with you, and I really feel like you had a lot of great things to say, and that you'll help a lot of aspiring salespeople and even people that are going into management. Or, hey, if you want to own your own company, you can do that too.
That's exactly right. Yeah. It was so great for you to invite me on here, and
thank you.
It's times like this, you realize that, you've learned a lot over all these years, right? So to share just a little bit of it is rewarding. So thank you for giving me the chance.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what it's all about, learning curves.
Yes.
Appreciate your time, Reed. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks, Kelly.
Second Soul Studios is a full-service production studio with capabilities for photo, video, podcasting, editing, co-working, and more. Our photo video studio has a number of different backdrop choices and props to choose from. We also have a gourmet kitchen set, or if you're an upstart podcaster, you'll love our 4-person podcast studio. So what are you waiting for? Visit secondsoulstudios.com to book a tour today.